Zuzanna is a student. You are coming from Poland. Now we are in London. You are a student and activist, and we talk with you about the abortion law in Poland. There are many restrictions about this possibility for women, and maybe the law could be even tighter in the future. What are you afraid of?
So essentially, for context, for a couple of months now there has been an uproar about the possibility of another anti-abortion legislation being introduced in Poland. The law currently makes abortion illegal except for 3 cases, which is rape, incest, and if the mother's life is at risk, which is obviously restrictive already. But currently some anti-abortion groups, taking advantage of the fact that the current Polish government is very right-wing and committed to defending family values, want to completely outlaw abortion, which is obviously would be a horrific step back, and it would endanger many women's lives. And the obsession that the Polish lawmakers and politicians have with defending family values really ties in with the rising wave of right-wing, almost fascist sentiment which is rising across Europe. This is not only a women's rights issue, this ties into a much larger shift to the right in the European political landscape. A couple of months ago there was a big uproar in a lot of the Western press about this issue. There were marches, there were demonstrations also in London in front of the Polish embassy. Currently all of this has died down, but the issue is still there. There is still the risk of the law being imposed. Yesterday in Warsaw there was what was called the March of Dignity, which was called by the people who called it, and also by some Polish celebrities, as our last chance to stop this legislation from passing through. It was held at 5 minutes to midday, 11:55, and that kind of awkward timing kind of symbolized that we really have very little time to stop this legislation from passing through.
More in general, what about gender equality in Poland, about the condition of women?
Again, as I say, this one specific issue of abortion really is indicative of how bad gender equality is in that part of Europe. There are ostensibly some steps towards gender equality in terms of employment and so on, but really Polish society remains very conservative, very dedicated to, again, family values, which is also apparent in the horrific homophobia and transphobia that is exhibited by the Polish society. However, it's been very heartening to see so many people who usually would not describe themselves as political, so many women who are not usually involved in politics or don't really see it as their thing, coming out into the streets to fight, to organize around this one specific issue, and really standing up for their rights, because suddenly something so immediately threatened their freedom. And I really hope that this issue will prove like an awakening, a political awakening for a lot of Polish women.
Is this a conservative attitude which is pushing many young people from Poland to leave the country, for example, to come here to Britain?
Partly, yes. I mean, obviously, a lot of people come here because of the economic situation in Poland, but also, again, the Polish political climate is very stifling, it's very conservative. However, a lot of Polish people are actually quite conservative themselves. There was a recent poll done by I'm not sure, I think it was some kind of organization, it wasn't a newspaper, about this issue of whether they want abortion laws to be tightened, and the overwhelming, response from the people who were polled was yes, that they do want it to be tightened. But what was really surprising is that the majority of people who answered, yes, we do want it to be more restrictive, were actually very young people, 18 to 24 years. So although there is a very, very slow shift towards a more left-wing outlook among young people, it is still a very slow process.